Hey folks, Dick Heiser again with the Edenton Bay Clay Works and Pocosin Arts School of Fine Crafts over in Columbia, North Carolina. We're going to talk a little bit about underglaze. I'm going to show you a couple things, and it's about how you can decorate your pottery. Now, a couple things. Underglaze, we use what's called an engobe. Now, an engobe is just a fancy name basically for underglaze. We make our own. You can buy underglaze from Emico, from Speedball, Duncan, Mako. A lot of folks have it out there. We just happen to make our own. Underglaze is a matte finish generally, and the thing about underglaze is you don't have to put a glaze over the top of it. So here's a mug. There's a guy. We call them mustache mugs because of the mustache, not because of anything else. Everything's glazed, the inside, but the face is not, okay? So it's very soft, sort of a matte finish. Now, we also make mugs for a coffee shop in Wilmington called Java Dog, and here's one of their mugs. This has underglaze that has been applied, and then a clear glaze over the top. The Java Dog is raw, but you have the glaze on all the food-bearing surfaces. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a couple things relatively quick. We'll go over the materials that we used, brushes, etc., at the end of the video. First of all, if you guys remember, we had Bert with a twist. This was our little slab project. Well, Bert is now bisque-fired. He's got a little clink to him. So we're going to decorate Bert. Now, how do we do this? Well, I use a pencil. Pencil, the quote lead, which is not really lead, and a pencil will burn out in a firing. So I just take my pencil and I draw the design on that I have in mind. Now, you can make sketches. There are other ways to do this, but we're going to stick with this for right now. So I'm going to draw this on here in pencil, and then we're going to come back and we're going to use brushes and such to fill this in. So here's our little design done in pencil. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, there it is. All right, through the magic of technology, I'm going to reach over here and voila. Here it is. Now this was a bisque-fired base. This is Bert, and he's been underglazed. So we drew this pattern on all the sides, kind of varied it a little bit. This was brushed on with blue, trailed in black, and then we put little dots of orange. Let's see if you can see that all the way around it. Yep, that was the close-up for Bert. So what we're going to do is we're going to be firing the end of the month, and we're going to glaze, and we're going to fire Bert, and when he comes out, hopefully he'll come out with the blues and all the colors. So, are we going to glaze over him? I'm not sure. We're going to put glaze inside to make sure he's watertight, because he is, after all, a flower base. But that's Bert. Okay, so you remember the other day we did what we called curving the flat, which was making a bowl plate shape inside of a mold. Well, here it is, and it's dry, and I've been playing with it. So I use my pencil inside to draw the crazy cats I like to draw, and we started the decorating it with underglaze. You can see the guy right here. He's been trailed. He's got a reddish tongue. All of them that have tongues have red tongues. Those tongues were applied using this brush, okay, in a red color. Now, we're going to do a little more on this, and I'm going to show you how to do this and use the slip trailer as well. So, if I want to do a color like a tongue, we're going to go ahead and finish one of these out. I'm going to take my red underglaze, which I keep in here, and I'm going to take my brush, which I keep right here. I'm going to take a little bit on the brush, and just like with watercolor or anything else, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to make sure that I get it 1 to 2 to 3 coats, 2 to 3 minimum. The thinner it is, the more likely you are not to have the color. And you can do this in different areas, different colors. You can do all this just like you're painting a painting. So if you don't think you can do it, think about doing a painting. All right. Oh, this cleans up with water. And we use these containers since that is what we have for our reclaiming containers. Now, we're going to take the slip trailer and we're going to draw a cat. Now, it's going to be hard for you to see me do this because I have to see what I'm doing at the same time. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to try and do this. And the slip or the underglaze that is in here is a little bit thicker than what we normally use to paint with, so that it comes out in a line and doesn't roll all over the place. And you can get an idea here about what we're doing. What is important on doing slip trailing, I don't know why they call it slip trailing. Well, I do actually, but when you're trailing with it, you don't want it to come out and just spread out all over the plate. They call it slip trailing because they use clay slips that have colors added to them, which is one of those things that bugs me because engobes, underglaze, slip, okay, they're all eventually want to do the same thing. So anyway, we started with the cat. It's starting to dry. Now, this has not been bisque fired. You can underglaze on bone dry, bisque, or greenware, or wetware. The reason that I use the engobes is I don't have any trouble with things flaking off. Now, people do talk about using slip. Slip is clay that has had color added to it. You've got to be a little more careful with that. If you do that, you're going to wind up with having to do it on a wetter surface. You do it on a dry surface, pretty good chance it's going to crack off. The underglaze will shrink with the piece. So the underglaze, the engobe will shrink with the piece. So that's why I use that. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I showed you a little bit about this. We're also going to take this orange, and what we're going to do is in between the cats, we're just going to put blocks of orange. Why would we do that? Well, because I like orange. And cats sometimes are orange. My cats aren't. They're funny colored grays and whites. Okay, now I will repeat this randomizing pattern of little orange dots across this plate. You'll notice they do stand up. I know it's hard to see, but they do stand up. They will shrink down some as they dry. But it gives a little bit of a texture to the top, and this plate will be completely glazed over in a clear, so the colors and everything will stand out. Where I painted the red tongues, we'll take the black, and we will trail over that to give the line. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go on about my business for a bit, and then we'll be back to show you the finished plate and to talk to you a little bit about the glaze materials that we used. Okay, folks, thanks. I'll talk to you in a bit. Okay, folks, so here to close out this decorating video, we have the engobes, underglazes, I call them engobes, whatever. I'm serious about that. Again, the ones we made, they are made with either a carbonate, like the cobalt carbonate in the blue, sometimes with oxides, and sometimes with stains that we buy commercially. We have them in the little slip trailers. We have the brushes there that we use, and of course our high dollar pencil. There's Bert in the background. He's still hanging in there pretty good. And here's the caps that we were doing, the plate. Now I know it looks a little odd because the pencil lines are still in there. But you know what? They will disappear once this is bisque fired. And then it'll be sent on to the glaze kiln. And then of course the two mugs. Now, play with your underglazes. There's nothing wrong with making a tile and painting underglaze on and firing it and trying different approaches. I think the main thing about underglaze is if you want it to be consistently a solid, you need to use 2 or 3 coats. There's a lot of times I use 1, 2 coats, 1 coat because I want the brush effect so that it does look like a painting, or so that you get a blending like on the mug back here, this guy. You can see there's a little bit of a blending. It's a little softer. So you can play with this. One thing we did not mention was when you're working with underglazes, we did do this as a pencil sketch right on top of the clay. You can take a piece of paper, you can take a photograph, you can punch holes along that photograph, and you can use it in a way like a stencil or a transfer, very similar to what Michelangelo did to do the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. You can use a Sharpie, you can use a pencil, anything to mark so you can come back and do your colors.